to our May 2024 Powerhouse podcast. My name is Cassie Franklin, UMDF Community Engagement Specialist. I am super honored to be here with you today and really, really honored to be hosting this month's Powerhouse. We have a special Powerhouse planned for you today, all themed around Mother's Day weekend. So first, before we get to our special guest, I really wanted to bring on our UMDF Director of Education and Support Services, Kara Strittmatter. She is going to be sharing with us about UMDF's Mitochondrial Medicine Conference 2024 in Cleveland. Kara, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Cassie, for inviting me. I'm thrilled to be here.
And Kara, you've been with UMDF for decades. I know that you've raised 2 kiddos during that time. Talk to us a little bit about being a mama yourself.
Well, yes, my children were raised with UMDF from the very days when they were in their car seats, taking them to walks and runs. And while I'm setting up tables, they're in their car seats, and then we get them out. And then they would get out and talk and help. I mean, run some of the marathon races and stuff that we used to do, or 5Ks that we used to do years ago. So yes, my children very much a part of the UMDF all along the way. So
I love that, this UMDF family. It becomes just a part of just our everyday work. So tell me a little bit. We are all gearing up and we're all getting excited for Mitochondrial Medicine 2024 in Cleveland. And Kara, this is your baby. So
yeah,
I had work baby.
I had to joke around it because I have my Mama Bear mug. This is something that my children, there's their name on it, Corey and Sarah, and I'm the Mama Bear. And you know what? I kind of feel like the Mama Bear when it comes to conference symposium. That's been my baby. I love everything that we do with our symposium. It's always been called symposium, but we're calling it a conference because it's full-fledged conference. In these late years. And I'm telling you what, I can't help but always want to do something more and do something better because it's my family. And it doesn't matter if it's a patient, family, caregiver, sighted supporter, clinician, researcher. I just feel like I've got to get everybody do something at this conference that's going to benefit them and that they feel like that's a good home for them to come to, every year.
Well, I know we're doing some new things this year. We're starting programming early for patients' families on Thursday. So what is that day going to look like? We want people to make sure that they know to come early.
Yes. So yeah, in previous years, we did some things for patients and families on Thursday evening. It was more like of a reception type thing, but we're kicking it up a notch, having families come earlier. And we're doing a kickoff on demystifying research and drug development. Sometimes I'm wondering if people think, wow, they are hyper-focused on clinical trial readiness and clinical trials. But folks, we're 25, I've been here for 25 years and now that's where we have to hyper-focus on right now because that's what's happening. We are seeing activity in drug development, but there's so much to understand. And even though I have sat in personally, Cassie, I don't know how many lectures and in staff meetings to learn from Dr. Phil, about clinical trials and readiness, constant in drug development, all the phases. There's so much to learn that we felt like we've got to keep focusing on that. And I think that's one of the reasons we're doing this kickoff. Try to get it to more of the pull back the curtain. What is really drug development and research, and kind of as Brian would say, kind of like a schoolhouse rock. Let's learn about the intricacies that are involved and in the layman world for all of us to understand a little bit better. So that's what's happening from 1 to 3:30. So we do want families to come early, because that's a chance to really pull back the curtain, learn about drug development. But also we have 2 special guests from different patient advocacy organizations that have been there and done that. They've gone through the trials. They have drugs that are ready. So they're going to, really share what those learnings were for them so that we're not alone in this journey. There's a lot of rare disease organizations. There's a lot of drug development in those organizations, and we can learn from that to make sure. So I'm really kind of excited about just that fact alone, that we're hearing from other folks. And then we're going to engage the audience. We want you to come with your questions so that we can go into the audience and poll and speak up. Why don't you participate? And, what are the barriers for you as an individual? It may just be the lack of understanding, of what's going on. But it's not just the patients and families. I mean, we want industry and clinicians to share their voice too.
We can only get to treatments and cures together, and everyone's got to be on board, including patients engaged in clinical trials, clinicians hosting those clinical trials at sites. So I'm really excited about our Thursday programming, and I'm excited about the second year for our clinical research pavilion. I know, Kara, you hosted an Ask the Mito Doc a couple of months ago with our clinical research pavilion data from last year, our very first. Yeah. What's the most exciting thing that you've learned from last year, and what do we have to look forward to this year?
Well, I can't describe everything that we learned on that March 27th Ask the Mito Doc, but I have to say that most people don't know what goes on Ask the Mito Doc, but we as staff are listening during those presentations. And sometimes we're texting each other because somebody's trying to do something and, we're connecting with each other. And even we as staff, we're like, this data is so incredible. Dr. Zoella's O'Kipley Cunningham presenting what she learned, because for us, we're on the front line working all the time, but we don't always see the results, but this was something we did last year and is like, wow, this is going to help with drug development. It's so important to get the clinical studies and the history and all of that to do better trial design and to move us forward. And I really did. I kind of geeked out watching that. So if you haven't watched that March 27th Ask the Mito Doc, please do, because it's exciting to see something that we did that actually yielded some results that could move us forward. So that's what I loved it.
You can find those Ask the Mito Docs. If you've missed it, just wanted to say to our listeners that you can find those recordings on our YouTube channel. You can find them on our website. Also, our amazing support ambassador volunteers do a fantastic job of creating written transcripts after the fact. So you can find those on our website as well and read them. So I highly encourage our listeners, if you've missed that March 27th Ask Mito Doc, to go back and learn about everything that was learned at Clinical Research Pavilion 2023. We're gonna do it again this year, 2024 in Cleveland. So make sure, I want to put this plug in there too, Kara. For anybody that's wanting to participate in the Clinical Research Pavilion, that is a patient or caregiver, please be sure that you're registered right in MitoShare. Our
correct
registry.
Yes.
And if you haven't done that yet, it's super easy. It takes 10 to 15 minutes. Go to MitoShare right now, get registered, get it done, and then you're ready to sign up for our Clinical Research Pavilion at MitoMed Cleveland, right?
And we actually do want to do one thing different with our registration year because of the kickoff on Thursday and the pavilion going to be open and running on Thursday, that we do have a discount for Cleveland area. So like if you're a Cleveland area within, close by, you conference really isn't your thing, but you are willing and interested to help us move it forward, move drug development forward, come just for the day. You'll pay one fee and you'll have to enjoy the Ask the Mito Doc panel sessions going on that day, in addition to the kickoff, and then of course the pavilion, and you'll get to see some of your friendly faces that you haven't seen in a while, because I know there's a lot of Northeast Ohio families. We just haven't seen them as much, as the years have gone by. Kids have gotten older, everything changes, in your lives, but please come and join us because your voices matter. And I know some of those Northeast Ohio kids have grown up. I hate to say it, but they're like college age and out in the working world, which I love. I love that's happening.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So.
Well, Kara, while I still have you, before I bring on my special guest, talk to me. Well, you're a special guest too, but talk to me a little bit about any unique programming that we have this year that we haven't done in years past.
We always have special programming. We tried to do something different every year. This year, we really are focused on mental health. So we have not only a mental health 2 tracks for the patients and families on Friday and Saturday, but there's also on Friday, there's a mental health platform session for our scientific and medical community too, so that they can also learn and appreciate and respect that that's the mitochondria plays a major role in mental health. And that's something our families have been sharing with us for years, but we really want to get that out there in the spotlight, because it is a major issue. And so we're going to have some sessions that will help them understand it. There will be some palliative care along with that session. There'll be some yoga. We're actually going to have some yoga because there's everything that kind of works in together. And then we have this special guest. His name is Brad Thompson. He is with the Child Neurology Foundation, and he really does peer support. And he's such an excellent speaker, just very down to earth, and will help kind of pave the way on how we can support each other. He'll be talking to our patients' family, how to take care within their internal families, but also for our volunteers who are out there working with families too, to give them some tools on navigating that journey. So we're really excited about him joining us this year. And he's going to meet a lot of families. He's going to there's going to be a mental health track or mental health session with him, even with our Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy. So he's going to do multiple sessions for the different families and attendees that are coming.
That's fantastic. Kara, I'm so excited, and thank you for coming to share today. I'll just speak for everybody, all the listeners, everybody. It's going to be a really great MitoMed 2024. So thanks for coming and sharing. And we want people to get registered at umdfconference.org. And get your hotel room booked too.
Oh, yes. The hotel rooms are going fast, so please book your hotel room.
Thank you so much, Kara.
All right. Thank you, Cassie.
We hope you're enjoying the episode. The United Mitochondrial Disease Foundation's Mitochondrial Medicine Conference brings together researchers, clinicians, and patient families to work toward better outcomes for patients with mitochondrial diseases. Join us this year in Cleveland. Visit umdfconference.org. Let's get you back to the Powerhouse.
So usually on our Powerhouse podcast, we feature powerhouses from the mitochondrial disease community. Often you'll see researchers, clinicians, patient families, advocates, fundraisers. This month, we really, really wanted to bring on powerhouse of all powerhouses, a Mito mom, as the feature. For this Mother's Day weekend especially, Mito moms wear so many hats. They're advocates, they're teachers, they're caregivers, often they're volunteers as well. They're the movers and shakers of the mitochondrial disease community, quite frankly. So powerhouses of all powerhouses, I wanted to introduce you today to a very special guest that we've been super honored to get to know over the last couple of years. You've probably seen her daughter Vera in our Give Hope campaign that's happening right now. They've shared their story, sharing Vera's story. We're raising that patient voice, and I'm very honored to have with us today Becca Johnson, Mito mom to Vera. And they are our feature family for our Give Hope campaign this spring. Welcome. Becca, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Becca Johnson. I'm mom to Vera. Vera's 10, and she was diagnosed when she was an infant. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm a dog mom, and I'm a homeschool mom, and my list goes on and on. I'm a caregiver. We love to be outside. We live in Minnesota, so we have all the seasons here, and we try to embrace them all. So I'm just super pleased to be here. I'm honored to be here, and I hope you guys enjoyed today.
So you talked about the many hats that you wear, and I know that you said you're a homeschool mom. Mm-hmm. Talk about as a Mito mom and all of those hats, and how having Vera being diagnosed as an infant, like how did that flip your world a little bit upside down and change what maybe you expected when you found out you were going to be a mom?
Yeah. No, I never planned to be a stay-at-home mom. And I mean, it sounded wonderful, like if that was something financially able to be, but it wasn't for us. And, we were in the hospital for like 3.5 months when Vera was born. And we just knew, she had heart surgery, and then we got our diagnosis of Mito. And we just knew like she couldn't go to daycare. How would we do this? We work separate shifts. And so we just found it was just what we were going to do. We didn't know if it was forever. We still don't know if it's forever, but we are 10 years later. And it was not an easy decision. It was a scary decision financially. But in Minnesota, like there are so many support systems here for parents with children with special needs or big medical needs. So, we were able to make this work with the resources in our state. And I mean, it's not easy. Nobody has it easy, but it's just what we had to do. And I know a lot of people are probably in the same boat where they're trying to decide how we either do daycare with exposure to illnesses or care if you can't find a daycare that can take a special needs child. And so it's just something a lot of Mito moms are up against. They just are kind of forced to stay home, or a dad. It just all depends how the situations are. And just check your resources in your state. It would be my advice, because we had no idea what was available for us. So
What did you do, Becca, before Vera was born?
I was a preschool teacher. So yeah. So I mean, teaching her preschool was super fun. It was something I was used to. As she got older, I mean, we follow a curriculum, and now she goes to school for just a couple hours to do her special ed classes. And that just started last school year in 3rd grade. And we're hoping, as she gets older, more time can be spent at school, less time homeschooling. I've really enjoyed teaching her. She's eager to learn, but it is a hat I'm ready to say goodbye because there's so many other things that have to be done. And, if she could be in school a little bit longer, to the point where she's like part-time and that counts of, enough education for her, we would really, really appreciate that. And that way I can get my messages done too. I mean, I'm constantly in communication with doctors. Mm-hmm. Right now she has a back brace, she has an injury. And so it's like, it's constant communication through email, and it takes time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
time and attention.
Time and attention. And she loves going to school. And, I have filled that role of being a playmate with her for many years. And that socializing piece is so important. And we just really, really hope she can get more time as the years go on at school.
So you said this was kind of her first year back, right? Second year back. How have you seen that social piece kind of change and develop for her?
She's understanding peers a lot more. So she was 5 when the pandemic started. And so like she was already a homebound student in kindergarten before COVID hit. And so she had like the little years of socializing, not year round. In the winter, we really just stayed home, and we tried to protect her from influenza and those respiratory bugs. And, but we were just home during the pandemic in the beginning for a very, very long time. And she really missed out, and everything was online. And when she started back to school, it was like, no touching. You have to keep your hands to yourself. Like she forgot all those rules. And so she has learned a lot. It's important. She loves to be with her friends. She's so excited to go to school. She talks about them all the time. And she's really enjoyed at school. She's just, she's a joy. Everybody tells us she's just this ray of sunshine. She spreads joy everywhere she goes. And and her friends, they all love her too. So
yeah, as you're talking about Vera being a joy, for everybody that's listening to us just on audio, make sure that you go and see UMDF on social media, and the photographs of Vera. It's 100% Vera. She just exudes joy. She's exuberant. Like that's the word that I think of when I think of Vera. Like she's just this ray of sunshine. And so if you're able to follow us on social and see Vera, please, I recommend do it. If you're listening to us today and you want to see our podcast on video, you can find it on our UMDF YouTube, because we're going to be sharing some photos of Vera and Becca today. I wanted to preface that at the very beginning so that people aren't missing out, because we're going to be sharing some really sweet photos that Becca has shared with us. And yeah, just to see Vera in her element, and all of the joy that she exudes. Tell us more about Vera, and what is your most favorite Vera story?
Well, Vera has so many stories, but it was really hard to pick a favorite story of Vera. She's just a mover. Like, she is so coordinated. She's just an athlete, and everything she does, she excels. And when she was a baby, we didn't really know how things were going to look. And we had one doctor tell us, after she was extremely ill as a baby, and she had a stroke-like episode when she was a baby, and we had one doctor tell us she may never move her arms and legs with the damage that it had caused. And so we had that mindset of how things were going to be. We weren't too sure. And then we had another doctor say, no, don't think of that. Don't think of that. And the baby's brains are plastic, and they do just amazing things. She's going to build her own road and follow her own path, and you'll just see how it goes one day at a time. And so we just kind of have always led with that. And so she was a little over a year. She was a year and 5 days, and she started crawling. That's, I think, one of my first, this is just incredible. We didn't know if that day was going to come. And so it was right before Easter, and we had a little wind-up hopping bunny, and that's just really what got her going. And she would just chase that bunny down the hall, and it was incredible. And that day we were just like, okay, she's just going to keep showing us what she can do, and we're just so proud.
Sorry, I'm having a moment too, because you're talking about Vera's, her start crawling. It took him a little while to crawl too.
Yeah.
He would do a lot of rocking before he started crawling, and we finally got him motivated. We started putting these little cereal bar, pieces of cereal bar, in front of him. And that's finally we had some forward momentum. I guess it just goes to show our family's very food motivated. But,
it's just those moments, those milestones that anybody's child, any moment, it's just exciting. And so, and I mean, we have so many wonderful moments with Vera, but I think that's just one of my first that was just really great. Really
absolutely. Great. Yeah. Do you still have the hopping bunny? I hope you still have the hopping bunny.
We have a hopping bunny.
Yes.
Yes, it's in our Easter bin. And so every year I pull it out, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. Oh, thank you, bunny.
Right? That's amazing. So tell me about your first Mother's Day, because I know I was trying to think back as I was thinking about the questions that we're talking about today and what we're talking about today. And I mean, my oldest is 7 now, and I don't know if I remember my very first Mother's Day, but yours was very specific in your memory.
Well, we were still in the hospital, and so, I mean, those days are so emotional. Any holiday spent in the hospital, it's emotional. Any day spent in the hospital is emotional. But those holidays are harder, and Mother's Day is on a Sunday every year. And so families were around. And then my husband, we had lived 6 hours from Mayo at the time. And so he had gone home. And I'm trying to remember, I believe we had other family here that weekend visiting, but I'm having a hard time remembering all that. But anyway, everyone had left for the day, and I was just feeling sad. I was sitting in the NICU and, trying to be so grateful, grateful to be a mom for the first time. And then, this is unfair for Vera, unfair that this is how it is. And there was another mom there too, and so sweet. Sorry. So we decided, and we were neighbors at the Ronald McDonald House here in Rochester. And so, and our babies were born just a few days apart. And so we had known each other for, by that time, 2 months. And so we decided to go across the road and have Mother's Day dinner together. And it was just so nice because, to always, any mom going through, other Mito moms, just other moms, even in the NICU, you just have a special connection with moms going through hard times. And it was just a Mother's Day I'll never forget, just going out to eat with her and talking about our babies. And Vera had just gotten a JG tube placed at that time. And so we were hopeful that we were going to be rolling out of there soon. And, but yeah, I'll never forget that, and how that mom just really helped me that Mother's Day. And I hope I helped her as well. So, yeah.
I have no doubt that you guys did. I have no doubt. So what is the plan for this Mother's Day?
This Mother's Day, well, every year we go camping. So I guess a newer tradition in the last several years. So in 2020, we bought a little camper. So we were like, well, COVID's going to go on forever. We might as well go have fun. And this is how we can do it safely. So we bought a used little trailer. And so now every Mother's Day we go camping. And in Minnesota, it's just starting to get nice. And camping season's just kind of starting to get rolling. So we always make a point to do that. And we make good food, bring special food, and just enjoy our time outside together, camping. And it's always nice because we go somewhere close to where we live, just in case we forget something. It's always, the beginning of the camping season, and there's a list of things we have to remember to bring, and we always forget a few. So, yeah. So, and Vera's really excited this year. The place we go, they have a brand new playground, and so we haven't been out there yet. It's not even open yet, but it's going to be open by Mother's Day weekend, and she's excited to check that out. So
that's exciting. So she's got some new things to explore.
Yes. Yeah.
Good. Well, I know that you guys, looking through the pictures that you sent me and pictures that we're going to be showing today, you guys love to be active, love to be going and doing. Tell us about your favorite activities and the things that maybe you guys loved to do before even Vera was born, and that now Vera's a part of.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in northern Wisconsin, and truly, like, my childhood was spent outside. We had a cabin on a lake. My town was on the lake. We skied in the wintertime. It was just what we did. And we did it as a family, and that's just how my childhood growing up was. And my husband was spent tons of time outside too. But when we first met, I don't think we would do activities, but not like this, how we do things with Vera. But we have learned to do things alongside with her. And we love to be on the water. We love to kayak. We love to canoe, paddleboard. We go fishing. And Vera's up for it all. Like, she's just, she even has stood up on a paddleboard before, which is not easy.
No, I tried paddleboarding yoga one time. That's the only time I will ever do it because I couldn't stay on the board. It was awful. Yeah. She can stand on the paddleboard.
She can stand on it. She cannot paddle long. She prefers to sit and paddle, which is just fine. And the lakes around here, I don't want her falling into anyway because they're not very clean. So we usually save the paddleboarding for Lake Superior where we know it's clean. So, and she's not going to come out with an illness. But but we have a little Coney Park that rents paddle boats. And it's like, I think it's like $6 an hour or something. They may have increased their rates, but for $6 for an hour for us to go out and paddle around, it's just so worth it. It's so reasonable to just go have some joy on the lake, and she can cast and maybe catch a fish that she's afraid of, and wants to fish, but she doesn't really want to catch one. So, but so we do a lot of things on the water. We have an adaptive stroller for her, so when she does get tired, she still fits in a stroller. And she bikes on a 2-wheel bike, and we're just really mindful of how far we let her go. She'll push herself to the point where then we know it's not going to be a good idea coming back. And so we just have to, stop her, but give her the experience. It's not going to be super far, but just get her outside and going. And she wants a skateboard so badly. We keep saying, when you're 10, you can get one. Well, she turned 10. Nope.
10 now.
Yeah. When you're 12, you can get a skateboard. And no, she won't get a skateboard. We will end up with a broken bone. I know that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, but the winters are long here in Minnesota, and so we have to take advantage of it. And we have taught her how to downhill ski. I grew up downhill skiing. And before the pandemic, we took her out to a small hill and tried it with her. And then during the pandemic, we actually would just put on a pair of skis and take her to just a hill and then walk her back up and let her go down. And so just because we weren't doing a lot during the pandemic. And then last winter, we discovered a different county park rents cross-country skis, and cheap. Like I think it's for a day. It's like $6 or $5. And it's just, we find these cheap activities for us to do. We don't have to own the expensive equipment, and we just try to find the resources so we get outside and, make winter exciting for her. And
So I need a mom-to-mom advice tip break right now. My 7-year-old, he is not coordinated like Vera. He's like, we're in baseball right now, sweet thing, and this is our 4th year, and we still struggle with our swing. But he is deathly afraid of taking the training wheels off the bike.
Okay.
How do we bridge the gap? How do we get the training wheels off the bike?
Well, have you ever done those balance bikes?
We have a balance bike.
Okay.
Do you think the balance bike is the best bridge?
Well, what we did is we did the balance bike, and then Vera was I think she was like 5 when we took her training wheels off.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a really small bike, like that 12-inch bike. So she had total control of putting her feet down, something smaller so she could totally handle it. So maybe a smaller bike.
Right.
Balance bike, smaller bike, and then
put his feet down and feel stable.
Yep. Instead of having them up higher, then they're tippier, and they can just set their feet down as they're getting the feel for it. So, and get ready to run. Like I was running with her when she was learning, and I'm not a runner, but it's just, I was right there, and like my hands were just ready to catch her as she was learning. So just make them feel safe that you're going to catch them. And if you have an old bike, I would pull out a smaller bike for sure.
Okay. That's smart. Well, he's age. We're so concerned because he's tall like his dad, not like me at all. And he is aging out really quickly of his training wheel bike. And the next level of bikes, the next size, there's no training wheel options. So it's like we have to figure this out if you want to be a bike rider. So
you get the hang of it. And I think also you might be able to adjust the training wheels so they're like the bike is more tippy, so it's not so stable. So you might be able to do that also. And then maybe he'll get more of like a feel of that tip and then try to balance back on his own.
Right. That's a great idea. Yeah, I think we can do that.
I
See,
think, yeah.
I knew you would have all the good tips.
Yeah.
So you guys love, and I want to make sure that we're showing all of these awesome photos that you've shown us of you and Vera sledding and you and Vera kayaking and paddleboarding and all of these things. Talk to me more about just living for experiences and making experiences a priority. I remember when I was a brand new mom and I had a mom friend who, for a birthday, for her little girl's first birthday, I had asked, what can we get Maya for her birthday? And she said, oh, like we're really, this year we're just really focusing on experiences. She's like, we don't need a whole lot of toys, but like, we're all about like that trip to the zoo or that trip to, whatever park or, so they were just asking for experiences. And I was thinking, man, like that's like, what a great idea. Like, I know, you don't ever think necessarily about those things unless you're a person that like makes that active lifestyle and making those experiences a priority and not just your outdoor things, but like all of your holiday traditions and baking together and those like sweet moments. Talk to us a little bit more about that.
Well, we try to give Vera as many experiences as possible, and we're very mindful about what we do indoors. And so we'll go to the zoo. The zoo is in the cities, and so it's a little bit of a drive. We do the outside stuff. We limit our inside stuff, but she loves it. And we have a few small things around here. There's a small zoo with like Minnesota animals, and it's all outside. We love going there. But as far as the experience part, if they're not given these opportunities when they're little, they're not going to learn how to do it as a grown-up, or they'll be afraid to do it as a grown-up. And, my husband's learning how to ice skate because that's what we do. And it's hard and his feet hurt and he doesn't like it, but he does it because that's what we're doing. And, so many people have said to me, like, Vera does so many things I've never even tried before. And it's like, we also have a lot of the toys at my parents' house. They have the lake right there and they have those toys. So it's not like we're having to buy all this stuff. We just can use it. And then down here, we find ways to rent things cheap. So we don't have all these big pieces of equipment. But I think it's important when they're little, and even if they're older, try it and encourage them. And yeah, we just really want her to try whatever she can try. And if she loves it, great. And if she doesn't, we don't have to do it again. Yeah.
Well, I love it. And right now we're going to take a really quick break. Don't go anywhere. The Powerhouse podcast will be right back.
Thank you for listening to the Powerhouse podcast. Join us as we take every step toward treatments for mitochondrial diseases. Together, let's energize the fight. Register online at energyforlifewalk.org. Now, back to the Powerhouse.
Okay, we're talking about activity and raising this like wonderfully, beautifully active child who also happens to have mitochondrial disease. So tell us a little bit. You mentioned when she's going out to bike, she might push too hard and how that might not always be a good thing for her. Tell us more about that.
So with Vera, she will go and go and go until we make her stop. Like, she doesn't know her limits. And so for Vera, she'll then really, her behaviors will start coming out because her body hurts. She's exhausted. She gets headaches. So if she bikes too far on the ride home, we're now having a really upset child who doesn't want to finish her biking. There's no way home. until you bike. We can walk, but your body's sore. So we just really try to know what her limit is. This is where we turn around, we go home. We don't want her to overdo it because we don't want her body to hurt. And we don't want her to have a headache. And, everything with her then goes to her stomach. She gets, very nauseous. And we try to limit her pushing herself. So, and then when she does get too tired, we have her stroller for her to ride in. And, not everybody understands why this big kid, she's 10, is riding around in a stroller. And, a lot of times in the evening, if we've had a very busy day, we don't give her an option, to ride her bike or to take a scooter. We'll just say, okay, we're going to take the stroller and we'll take our after dinner walk, which we do every night. And, people might view that differently as they see. People who know us understand. And, but it's what's best for her. And I'm so thankful we have an adaptive stroller that can push around a 10-year-old and give her a break. So, and then when she was really little, we had this really cool backpack that was for bigger kids to ride in. And it had this like seat that flipped down. And these things have been purchased through grant funding from our state. And, it's just, we've had so many opportunities with the services provided from our state. And I think it's just really important. And I always tell people, get a caseworker right away for your county. See what your options are. See what's available in your state. And because they really can help. And things you don't even know that, a stroller, a backpack, things like that could be paid for. And then you have that opportunity for your child. So, yeah. But it is hard. She gets exhausted and she doesn't want to stop. And she will fight us all the way until we're putting her to bed. So
I'm picturing you or Michael with Vera on your back going on some like really amazing hike.
yeah. Yeah. Well, she's too big for it now. And it got to the point where, when she got to, it was like 70 pounds, maybe 60, 70 pounds. We're like, well, I couldn't do it anymore. And Michael's like, this is just getting too hard. Like, we have to just find a place. We can always take the stroller. And so, yeah. But when she was smaller, it was great. Really, really great. And yeah, but those strollers, if you don't have an adaptive stroller, find one. They're a lifesaver. So, yeah.
So tell me about what is one word that you would use to describe Vera, and then one word that you would use to describe yourself.
To describe Vera, I would describe her as brave. She is up for trying anything. She is so brave going to all these doctor's appointments. It's getting harder as she gets older. She doesn't want to go. But like as a kid, it was like she enjoyed going. It was kind of crazy. They were like her friends, she knew them so well. And she's just so brave, so brave. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I don't know. Most moms are. So that's how I would describe myself.
Well, how do you get rest? How do you recharge?
Well, I don't take a ton of time for myself as there's not much time to take. And when I do have the time, I don't always want to take the time, which some people don't understand that. But when my husband's home, I really enjoy our family time together, when he's home from work. And but I do get monthly massages, and that started, I was getting really bad migraines. And so my doctor actually recommended me getting massages. And so I started doing that. And it's something that is expensive, but it does helps me relax. It gives me, I count my drive there because it's in a different town, and my drive home. So I get like 2 hours to myself. It's great. So I do that. I walk our dog when Vera's in school. She's in school for just a little bit, and my walks are extremely important to me every day. Like I get that moment to myself when she's in school I get the moment with our dog, who is still a puppy and learning. So I try to do a little training during that time. But I try to stay focused. I try to just listen to all the sounds around me, just walking. And it's almost like therapy, just being outside. And speaking of therapy, I do therapy as well. I see a therapist once a month. And I would highly recommend that for all Mito moms. We've all been through trauma. And I think it's just extremely important for your well-being.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I just want our listeners to know we're recording this in the middle of the day when Vera is at school. And so Becca has, I'm guessing, maybe missed out on her midday school time walk with her sweet dog to be talking with us here today.
But that's okay.
Gosh, we're like, I'm just that much more appreciative because I know how little time you have. So thank you so much for choosing to spend it here with us today. And
well, I'm honored to be here. So thank you.
So you've talked about local resources that you guys have found to be most helpful. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? I know state to state things look different for different families across the country, but there might be people who haven't had time or bandwidth to look into things. And what have you found that was game changing for your family?
Yep. Well, I'm going to start. It's extremely frustrating, and the process in the beginning is so hard. You need time, you need patience, but don't give up, because you may find it could change your family's finances. So in the beginning, we were denied for everything. And I'm like, oh, we have all these medical bills. How are we going to pay for this? Like, she was in the hospital. She had heart surgery for, 3.5 months. And how are we going to do this? And now I'm staying home. And so we had a caseworker where we lived in a different county. And she just kept saying, we have to go through and be denied. And then we can get onto this TEFRA program, is what it's called in Minnesota, where you get a medical diagnosis and then your child is eligible to be on state insurance. We had our primary insurance, but now we have our out-of-pocket was like $11,000, $12,000 that we're responsible for, like every year.
Yeah.
And which I would guess every Mito family hits that every year. So she's like, that's our first step. We have to get her on the Minnesota state insurance, and then doors will start opening. So we got onto that program. It took months. And then we moved to a different county. So that was like, So, but the paperwork had already started in a different county. It got transferred here. We got a caseworker in our county. And she was on the state insurance, which then opened the door. So she had a feeding tube. All of her formula then started getting covered. And everything, we stopped seeing copays for her. We stopped seeing any medical bills when she got on that state insurance as a secondary insurance. It just picked everything up. So get a caseworker, do the paperwork. It's a pain. And it was like, I would sit on the phone for hours. It takes time. You're on hold. And you just have to. And she is still on this program. We used to have to pay for it because it was based on income. And so we would pay a yearly or a monthly fee to have for the year. But Minnesota has now taken that part away, and it's free. So her secondary insurance is now free. And it is free, I believe, for anyone. I don't think there's an income cap on it. So get a caseworker. And then because she's on the state insurance, she now gets grant funding. So she's on a waiver program. And she has a budget of how much she gets every year. And I even get paid to be a paid parent. And it's not like having a full-time job, but it's something that helps our family. So, and different pieces of equipment, they can be covered under this waiver program. Different activities, like we can even go to the Minnesota Zoo for free because she's on this program. And so all we have to do is show her her insurance card and we get free admission. And that's a lot of places around the Twin Cities, like I believe like the Science Museum and, different places you get to do these activities because you're on the program. And so state to state is different, county to county is different, but get a caseworker. They can help you. And if you don't have a connection with that person, switch because there's resources and you need to find them.
Thank you so much for sharing that. What have you learned as a caregiver and Mito mom that might be helpful for other moms newly diagnosed, coming into the community, coming into a new diagnosis with a medically complex, fragile child?
Yeah. Well, it's day by day. That's what I've learned. There's so much in the beginning. Your world has been turned upside down. And, you are going to get through this. You're going to learn so much about the new diagnosis. You're going to learn everything, how to care for your child, because you are given so much information. And we're still given so much information. And you're just going to learn everything you need to know about your child. You don't have to know everything about mitochondrial disease because you just have to know your child. And you're going to learn a lot about yourself. You're going to learn how strong you are. You're going to learn how strong your child is. And, today I told Vera, I said, you're so brave. Mom's going to be brave like you today because, public speaking isn't my thing. And I said, I'm just going to be brave like you. I'm going to think about you today. And it's just your kids, your child, they're so strong. And you're just going to get that from them. And you're going to be brave. It's not going to be easy, but there's going to be really great days you need to cherish. So, and you can do this.
Well, I want to take a quick moment and we're going to bring you full screen so that you can show us your t-shirt and if you wouldn't mind reading that for our audio listeners.
So Michael and Vera gave this to me one year for Mother's Day. So mitochondrial disease does not come with a manual. It comes with a mother who never gives up. So yes, that was a very special gift one year from them.
It's like the most awesome t-shirt that I think that I've seen a Mito mom have. So I'm so glad that you wore it today. And before we go to our very last question, I was wanting to take you back to as I was preparing today, I was like looking around my desk and I have like this little footprint coaster on my desk that my first kiddo I think they made it at Mother's Day out or something for us. But it's it's sitting right here. And I was like, like we have to make sure to talk about your most cherished Mother's Day gift.
Yes. So this is not from my husband. This is from Vera in the hospital. So we were in the hospital right before Mother's Day in 2019. And they did this little shrink-eating keychain of her little tiny hand. Well, this wasn't her hand. They shrink them up and makes it small. It was her hand, but obviously not that small. But so it says Happy Mother's Day 2019, Vera. So, the hospital they try so hard and they do such a great job to make families feel special on these hard days spent in the hospital. And so this is always something I will cherish forever. I don't even put it on my keys because I don't want to lose it. It sits on my dresser.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So, and then Michael's also given me, like picture cups for Mother's Day, and so we don't do a ton of gifts at our house. But we just cherish the memories and the moments and get outside together. So
That's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So what would your message be to other Mito moms across the country for Mother's Day? Mother's Day is a hard one for us because we have moms that are maybe dealing with a new diagnosis for their child, or they might be dealing with grief, or maybe they're affected themselves. So we have mothers in our community in every spot in the journey. So kind of what message would you leave us all with on Mother's Day?
Well, happy Mother's Day, first of all. And I would say today is about you. Think about you. Think about how you have grown as a person. This journey has changed your life. And if you have a child at home with you today, hug that child. Know how they've made you so strong. And just enjoy. Enjoy today. Your job isn't easy. You get a day to just enjoy with your family or alone, however you want to spend it. It's your day. And so to all the moms out there, you are so strong, strongest moms I know. Happy Mother's Day.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Becca, for joining us. And that's our special Mother's Day, May 2024 Powerhouse podcast. You can find us anywhere where you get your podcasts, an audio version, or you can find us on YouTube in video. So thank you guys all for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Powerhouse.
Thank you.